Hillary Clinton has a new line of attack against Bernie Sanders. Let's watch.
You know, you in Milwaukee on Saturday night, you talked about the fact that you are a loyal, true Democrat, always have been a Democrat, clearly a shot at Bernie Sanders. When I asked him about that, he said the fact that he's an independent is a strength in a general election campaign because he can bring independents into the party. And he points out that in a lot of the polls right now, he actually does better than you in the general election.
Well, there are a lot of polls that say just the opposite, but polls this far out don't mean anything. I think what's important is not what somebody's theory is, but how many votes have you gotten? That's what we determine elections based on. And I also believe it's important that we elect more Democrats. I would love to see the Senate go back to being Democratic instead of having Republicans.
You don't think he can do that?
Who won't do their constitutional obligation. Well, there's no indication there's any interest there. I am committed to electing Democrats. I'm committed to raising money. I'm already helping to fund Democratic campaigns because at the end of the day, a president can do a lot, and I have a very robust agenda with big goals for our country, and I think I've got a track record of proven results. But I think it will be better for the country if we move away from the obstructionism, the extreme partisanship that we're seeing in the Senate today, and we get back to people who want to work together and want to follow the Constitution, which right now doesn't seem to be the case.
Okay, so there are two things there. The first thing is, she says, well, come on, let's be honest. This guy over here who's running against me has been an independent most of his career, so he doesn't want to get Democrats elected, and I do, so perhaps you should vote for me because I want more Democrats elected, and maybe he doesn't. And then she also goes on to say, well, he's not bipartisan enough. We got to work together, and this guy is too partisan. I mean, come on, man, let's get with it here. So let's address each one of those arguments. To the first one, it's not that Bernie doesn't want to get Democrats elected. Bernie doesn't want to get sellout Democrats elected. Okay, so he's not going to go campaign for Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who there was just a story that broke about her where they found that she's fighting for predatory payday lenders. Okay, if that's a Democrat, well, what are Republicans for? You know, who needs enemies when you got friends like that? But to Hillary Clinton, I don't know, there's a D in front of her name, so that's all I care about. As long as there's a D in front of her name, you can do whatever you want and be as Republican-like as you want. As long as you say you're a Democrat, well, then you're one of the good guys, and then I'm going to fight for you. And then on top of all that, it's not even true that, you know, he doesn't want Democrats elected. Yes, he does. Again, he doesn't want sellout Democrats elected, but he does want Democrats elected. And if Bernie Sanders were to get the nomination, and if Bernie Sanders were in the general election, that would mean there's a higher turnout. Because when there's a higher turnout, he wins. When there's a lower turnout, Hillary has been winning. So if there's a higher turnout in the general election, what does that mean? It means it's going to be more young people. They lean Democratic, and indeed they will not only just vote for Bernie Sanders, but most of them will probably vote down the line on the Democratic side, on the ticket, and you'll have more Democrats elected. So she's turning what is something that's actually a weakness of hers, spinning it into a positive or trying to portray that it's a positive, where she's like, you know, hey, I care about other Democrats getting elected. This guy doesn't really care about it. But wait, again, if the trends hold true, which they will, because they do, always do, then the higher the turnout is, the more likely it is Bernie Sanders will win, and the more likely it is that you'll have Democratic victories across the board. So, man, that is incredibly misleading what she's saying there. And then to the second point, well, he's not bipartisan enough. We got to come together. Oh, boy, here we go again. This is Obama-ism 101. What do you mean? You just keep reaching out to the Republicans, and then they spit in your face, and then you reach out to them again, and then they slap you, and then you reach out to them again, and then they assault your mother, and then you reach out to them again, and then they'll, list goes on and on. This is what they do. No matter how much you reach out to them, they're going to be against you. They broke the filibuster record under Obama. They tried to repeal Obamacare over 60 times. You think they're interested in doing fucking work with you? They're not interested in it in any way, shape, or form. So the funny thing is that Hillary's saying this because she thinks, well, we'll be able to get more done if we work across out. No, it's actually the opposite. You need somebody like Bernie Sanders to get something done. Why? Negotiations 101. You got to learn how negotiations work. Now, Hillary Clinton concedes up front. Okay, I'm not going to try to get Medicare for all. Maybe I'll try a public option, and then what's going to happen? The Republicans slap that down, and then you get no change, or you add on a little bit to Obamacare or something. But that's it. Bernie Sanders comes along and he says, how about this? Medicare for all, non-negotiable. If you don't fall in line and vote for it, well, then your political career is over. If you're a Democrat, you better fucking vote for it. No blue dog nonsense, or else we're going to run against you. We're going to flood money into the campaign of a primary challenger against you. And if you're a Republican, by all means, go ahead and be against it. But we're going to do a media blitz, and we're going to go after you, and we're going to show polling data, which shows that the majority of the American people are in favor of a Medicare for all system. We're going to talk about how bad our system is today, right now, where people die because they don't have access to basic health care. And we're going to say very simply, you're in favor of it if you want to keep the system the way it is. Oh, so you don't care that 45,000 people die every year because they don't have access to basic health care. Well, I guess you're in favor of 45,000 people dying, and if Muslim terrorists killed 45,000 people, you'd want to do something about it, wouldn't you? But, if it's because our healthcare system is shitty and it's capitalist, well, no, I don't want to do anything because the health insurance companies pay my campaigns. Okay, we're going to expose that, and we're going to talk about that. And then you're going to get destroyed in the next election, and then we're going to get whatever the fuck we want. So Bernie Sanders comes out swinging and talks about Medicare for all, and then what happens? Look, maybe they don't get it. With the makeup of Congress right now, we probably wouldn't get it. But guess what? You just made the middle ground, the middle position, the compromise, the public option, which is what Hillary's starting position was, which he's going to have to cave from. So all this talk about how I'm Hillary, I'm more in favor of incremental change, I'm more pragmatic, I want to be bipartisan, I want to work with the other side. That has the opposite effect. You concede up front, you end up losing more ground, eventually you're just doing their policies as you pretend like you're doing your policies. It's exactly the same thing with Merrick Garland. If you're a Democrat and you support the nomination of Merrick Garland, you're a clown. Because there were quotes of Chuck Grassley and Orrin Hatch and all these guys who are deep right-wingers saying, if Obama wants to get an approval, just nominate Merrick Garland. Now you have to think, well, wait a second. Why would they say that they're in favor of him? Why would they want him to pick him? Because he actually does what they want. Go look at his decisions, for example, on Guantanamo Bay. He says, yeah, no Fourth Amendment. We can lock you up indefinitely, and that's the end of the conversation. There was one money in politics case where he said, sure, we can have some rules. But then the precursor case to Citizens United, he was like, yeah, no, unlimited money, rock and roll. So here's a guy who is center-right, and that's best case scenario, center-right, and Obama's like, I nominate that guy. And then when the Republicans turn around eventually and approve him, Obama's going to go, I got you. No, you didn't. They got you. You just nominated a guy who they wanted. And the Democrats now, just because they're against Republican obstruction by default, they say, yeah, nominate him. Look at his positions. Why do you want to nominate him? Hillary Clinton would do the same thing as Obama. I nominated a Republican. I got you. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Bernie Sanders would say, I don't know. Let's go with a super progressive. And then when they slap that one down, he'd say, okay, I'm going to propose somebody just as progressive as the last one. And every time you block this, I'm going to go to the media. I'm going to rip you to shreds. We're going to do a massive ad campaign against you. Talk about how you don't believe in the American system of government and justice. And you're going to get destroyed in the next election. So we're going to get a more progressive justice if we have somebody like Bernie Sanders as president. But again, Hillary Clinton spins it. All of her negatives, she spins into a positive. The difference is this time around, though, maybe Americans are sick of the Obama way, and they're like, okay, no, we want something new. We want something that's going to overthrow the establishment. And that's why you see a surge of Bernie Sanders supporters. He overcame a 50-point deficit. And Hillary's still out there fumbling, making the same arguments. Go ahead, Hillary. By all means, keep making those arguments. People are starting to see through them.